In the last video, we saw how to use command prompts from the input language to control the behavior of context. In this video, we'll look at a second language system in context, which is called the output language. Now, first of all, the output language deals entirely with context messages. That is, the same messages which are stored in the message database here under Edit, and the same messages which can be edited through the symbol atom at the top here, which is just a window into the message database. Now, a simple example here will suffice to illustrate what the output language does. If I just type in a message here, AA5 plus 6, and open up a couple of boxes and start context, you will see that the message that this sent was not AA5 plus 6, but AA11. That's because the output language interpreted 5 plus 6 and obviously gave us 11. So the output language is a term rewrite system which is used just simply for giving us numerical content, which is basically going to be notes, which can be sent to notes or values which can be sent to other objects and instruments in PD. So first and foremost, the output language functions as a calculator. And this is handy because you're probably very familiar with the syntax already. There are, however, just a few things that you should know about how to use it. Number one, anything that's left outside of the brackets won't be calculated. As you can see here, you get 4 plus 2, and then the result of 5 plus 4, which is 9. The reason for this is that there might be a situation where you want to use a plus sign or a multiplication sign in a context message. So anytime you want to use calculation, you have to put it within brackets, and anything that's outside of the brackets won't be calculated. Second of all, as you can probably see here, the output language is pretty good at dealing with spaces. So if I have no spaces there, 4 plus 5, I'll get 9, and then if I put spaces at every opportunity, I will also get 9. So that's handy. And then the third thing is, as you might expect, you can use any number of brackets, just as on a regular digital calculator. You can use brackets within brackets. Now, you might be wondering why calculation is even useful at all. After all, I could have just typed in AA12 and saved myself a bit of trouble. The answer is it's not very useful until you introduce message variables into the equation, and then it becomes very useful. Message variables are a series of symbols, usually punctuation marks, which will be substituted by the output language for a certain number. Again, an example will be the best way of showing this. If I type in question mark 9 plus 80, question mark is a message variable which is going to substitute a random number between 0 and 8. And then that's going to be added to 80. As you can see here, then you get a random output between 80 and 88. Sorry. This is great because it introduces the possibility of random numbers into a context network. Now, there are a dozen different message variables and probably an infinity of ways in which you can combine them. The complete list of message variables can be found in the context manual. In this video, I'm just going to go over some of the most basic uses for them. One you've already seen, which is random numbers. Two, probably the most useful one is the equals sign. Equals has nothing to do with equality. Equals is going to read the toggle floats if you scroll down. So if you remember, if you scroll up, you're going to create connections. If you scroll down, you get these blank numbers without a C in front of them. Their sole purpose is to be read by the equals sign. So here, if you see, you get 5, 4, 0, 0, 0 is obviously just the cross. Now that's barely going to be audible because it's so low, but if I go equals plus, I think 80 was good, then you have that. And so this is actually the easiest way of creating melodies in context. You no longer really need to deal with message limits and typing in the messages, as I showed you in the beginning. All you need to do is plonk an equal sign in the message variable there, and then start using these toggle floats. It's very, very simple. I'll just show you one more interesting message variable, which is the underscore. By the way, this editing feature I might not have explained before. If you hold down Shift and double click on the symbol atom, you should get this editing box, which is then much easier than having to retype the symbol every time. Anyway, underscore is a sort of arpeggiator thing. It's just going to tell you whichever number of the toggle is selected. It's very clear with an example. There you go, 81, that's 80 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., etc. You see the jump from 6 to 10 there. So now to look at a combination of all three. If I type in a message variable equals plus 80 plus random underscore, we're going to get a I'll need to put some more floats there. We're going to get an interesting thing now. Can you see what's happening? What it is whatever number we get along the bottom, so 50403 plus 80, and then plus a random number. And what random number? Well, the maximum of the random number is increasing the further along the line we go. So in other words, you get the sort of entropy of this melody increasing as it goes along, which is kind of